Hi there. I find this trap to be particularly interesting and engaging. It's called the double-edged Yugoslavian, where both white and black can come out on top. It's in the Sicilian dragon Yugoslavian attack. e4 and c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4 takes. Black's going to play the dragon, first knight f6 and knight c3 defending the pawn on e4. d6 is met by f3 and now g6. So white develops the bishop, tucks it in nicely on e3 and bishop g7. Queen d2, suggesting white's going to castle long and start launching the kingside pawns in what we call the Yugoslavian attack. Black develops bishop d7 and castles. Black here can play castles or a6 first, now g4. And in this interesting position here, black plays an erroneous move, putting the queen on c7. Why is this bad? Because the square d5 certainly looks inviting for the knight. And we can remove the defender of the d5 square by simply pushing on with g5, which is logical. So the knight goes to the room on h5. Now knight d5 gains time for white. So the queen, being hit, doesn't have too many decent flight squares, so retreats back home to d8. And we've reached a really interesting position where everyone in this position for white has basically taken on c6 and then eyeing up this square b6 for the knight or the bishop looks quite inviting and tempting with chances for white. However, there's a far better move than trading knights, and it's a move that I think is pretty much impossible to see. It seems more of a computer move to me, but it's this move, the knight on d4, retreating back to e2, avoiding exchanges of the knights, keeping black's c6 knight on the board, and then the invasion into c6 really has a bit more bite to it, and white is going to seriously come out on top in all variations. So that move knight e2 particularly hard to see. If instead white goes for the more natural taking on c6, as it were gaining time, because now after b takes on c6, now white can invade into b6 with the bishop. Bishop to b6, it hits the queen and it takes control of c7 for the knight to jump into. So this looks all logical, as if white is doing pretty good. But no, it's actually black here who's okay in this position. Black here can give up the queen by playing rook b8. And let's have a look at some of the variations. Well, if bishop takes on d8, then it's black who gets the upper hand. First with bishop takes on b2 check, sending the king back to the, or not back to, it's the first time he's been there, to the perilous b file. And now black can unleash a discovered attack on the queen by playing bishop c3. That's check, picking up the queen, where black has come out on top. Going back, after rook b8, instead of bishop takes d8, which is good for black, how about queen a5? This is more logical, but black can counter here with bishop takes on b2. If king takes on b2, then simply c takes on d5, removing the guard on the bishop on b6, which is pinned. That's going nowhere. That's going to be taken with advantage to black again. So again, after bishop takes on b2, the king slips out of harm's way to d2. Then we're likely to see this continuation. Rook takes on b6. If knight takes on b6, then the bishop goes back to d4, hitting the knight, which is pinned, but the knight can go to c4, and this variation would be more or less equal. And going back again, after rook takes on b6, if queen takes on b6, we haven't explored this line, queen takes on b6, then we can expect to see c takes on d5, taking the knight. The queen's not going to trade queens, but take the bishop on b2, and black will play e5 with advantage here for black. Going back again. So we saw the main line here of if bishop takes on d8, bishop takes on b2. Black's a queen down, but going to recover the queen after king b1 and bishop c3 check, picking up the queen. And going back to this very interesting position here, in this position, white would have done best to play the move, not knight takes on c6, which is so logical but gives white nothing, rather drop the knight back to e2, and where white then will invade on b6 with advantage. So this has been the double-edged Yugoslavian in the Yugoslavian attack of the Sicilian dragon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.